guys, welcome to the segment break where we ask you guys to suggest us some topics and we do the deep diving regarding the topics to talk about on our podcast. Before anyone comes at me today, I know we have someone missing. Where is Naren? What kind of podcast only has one of the hosts? Unfortunately, guys, he has some family issues, so he is out of town for this week. So you guys have to bear with me, okay? The- It is we can't do anything about it. He has to leave the town, but he would be back next week though. So hang in, okay? He would come back. So last week, for our prompts, many of viewers has sent us some interesting topics to talk about, and only one of them actually caught my eyes because it had no likes. Nobody supported that comment, and I decided that I'm going to be talking about that today. I actually have all written here for you guys, so no worries. Just because Narina is not here, I can still, I can still make the podcast work even without his help. Okay, don't you guys believe me? Okay, so today we're gonna be talking about, as per user 3219 has asked me to talk about shares. It's a very unique topic that we usually don't cover, right? We usually just talk about some minuscule uh topics regarding family, friends, and breakups and whatnot. But today, I think, yeah, talking about shares, it's a new topic that we haven't covered in our channel, like law, company related stuff, corporate related stuff. We have not covered them in in our podcast before. So I think it would be nice. It would be more insightful for both me and you guys to learn about certain of the stuff. So let's see. The viewers asked us what are shares, what are capital maintenance, and explain a little regarding dividends, ownership, control, and whatsoever. So let's start. I'm sure everyone is curious though about this, but quite shy to ask since this is such basic question. So what are shares? Under the Section 2 of Companies Act 2016, a share represents an interest of the share capital of a corporation. Shareholders become partial owners of said company. For example, let's say a company has 1,000 shares. Okay, 10,000 is a lot. Let's say 1,000 shares, and you own 100 of them. 100 of the shares are they belong to you, which means you own 10% of the company. Share provides important roles to each shareholder, such as voting rights, dividend entitlement, and participation in company decisions. Companies may issue different classes of share, for example, ordinary and preferred share. Um, he also asked us regarding what kind of powers do these shares give the shareholders. So basically, from what I have, you know, researched and stuff, power attached to shares become especially important when discussing minority shareholders because under the Malaysian company law, majority shareholders generally control the uh, how to say the entire corporate decision based on voting system. However, minority shareholders don't usually they don't participate in most. It's not that they don't participate. The majority shareholders just uh, enforce such unfair treatment towards the minority shareholders, but there is a law that protects them. For example, Section 346 of the Companies Act 2016 actually allows minority shareholders to seek relief uh, in case a company actually does not give them the respect or the rights they deserve. Under this act, it says this law actually helps them to seek relief when they are oppressed or under unfair prejudicial. This protection reflects in the case of Force versus Harbotel, according to the research that I've done, which establishes that the principle of majority rule, while modern company law creates an exceptions that prevent again minority shareholders. Next, he asked me regarding the issuance and transfer of shares. This is an interesting topic that I myself learned a lot while I was doing some research. Issue and transferring of issues is one of the most important administrative action in a company that involves shares. Under the Companies Act 2016, generally the authority of allotment of shares are given to directors, but they must exercise this to a very how do I put it? A proper and a proper purpose with good faith. Basically, they can only allot shares with good reasons, not for any sort of illegal stuff, no fraudulent, nothing. Out of good faith and with a proper purpose for the company. This becomes relevant in the corporate exercises between the recent years from 2024 to 2026, where companies raised additional capital conducted restructuring exercises that affected shareholder ownership percentages. These restrictions on share transfers are also common in private companies to maintain the control within the limited group of shareholders. Next, I thought it would be interesting to bring up share buybacks. There has been a major issue between 2024 and 2026. There was a issue which involved share buybacks. Oh, by the way, if you guys don't know what share buybacks means, share buybacks occurs when a company purchases its own shares from shareholders, basically. So under the section 127 of Company Acts, um, the Malaysian public companies are permitted to purchase their own shares subject to legal requirements and solvency conditions. The purpose is to improve earnings per share, support market confidence, and return excess cash to shareholders. So this gave me some insights regarding buybacks, and I personally had no idea regarding these issues that raised up between the years. It's actually mind-boggling how much it goes, how much laws are made to oppose certain unfairness, certain issues that has to be raised and be protected. However, critics argue that buybacks may sometimes artificially inflate share prices or disproportionately benefit controlling shareholders. In recent times, though, there was this one controversial issue that involved that involves EPF and the Malaysian Airline Airport Holding Berhad, where I don't know if you guys remember, it was something about share transactions and some privatization discussion, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there was this one controversial issue that occurred, which highlighted that the doctrine of capital maintenance is important. Okay, companies' capital shares as protection of creditors, meaning companies should not freely reduce capital that can jeopardize the financial stability of said company. This principle originated from a landmark case that from my research, there was a case that talks about this, Trevor versus Whitworth. It was established that the companies generally cannot purchase their own shares unless it is specifically authorized by the law. The issue from the case, from what I have found out, it was apparently about if a company can legally purchase its own shares if there is no express authority or it is stated in the company's constitution. What do you guys think the court has ruled? When I read this, it made sense, and I've heard some uproars about this, but I think it made perfect sense to me. The court actually ruled that a company cannot purchase its own shares unless legislation permits it. There is a term called ultra buyers. This transaction was considered ultra buyers, which makes it invalid. And that was a new knowledge that I have not gotten before this. It I this is the time I actually appreciate our viewers giving us some challenging issues to talk about, to research about, because it gives me and Naren and everyone behind our team some good insights regarding issues that we would probably not be aware of. Like I am very, how to say, I'm a very protected, privileged person that I basically don't really mind myself in politics and corporate world. I know I'm a YouTuber, I'm a podcaster, I have no real job. Anyways, let's move on. One of the viewers were wondering if I can explain about dividends. Me? Why would you? Okay, you've come to the right place though. Our podcast actually does serious researches. Okay, we don't play around. We actually do real research to give you guys a good, information that you guys want us to get. So, from everything that I have recorded here, dividend distribution is an important area under company law. Under Section 131 of the Companies Act, a company may distribute dividend only if the company satisfies the solvency test. This means the company, how do I put it easily? How Let's say the company can only evenly distribute dividends if it's able to pay its debts. Does that make sense? I don't know how. Oh God, okay. I hope I'm not ruining this, but the company can share its dividend only if it's able to pay its debts back, which is uh, important and crucial because there's a law that prevents companies from paying dividends irresponsibly and protects creditors from financial harm. There was Recently there was some Malaysian company that were accelerated in dividend declaration before the implementation of the 2% dividend tax. Although shareholders welcomed higher dividends, some analysts questioned whether certain companies were prioritizing short-term shareholders' returns over long-term sustainability. And this is weird for me because directors who approve improper dividends may face liability for breaching their duties, especially if the company becomes insolvent later on. I I genuinely hope I did some good job at explaining. If my co-host was here, he would have probably jumped in to, give some more insights. But let's move on. Y- What's your name again? Tartaglia Stan01 asked about corporate governance issues, which, oh, okay. Oh, this is a good question actually. Actually, when I was doing some research the other day, I came across this corporate governance issues. Actually, it turns out it had a highly significant issue during this time. And under Section 213 of Companies Act 2016, directors must apparently exercise their powers in good faith and in the best interest of the company and for the proper purposes. It's the same thing as what I've mentioned earlier around the shares, right? Directors are expected to exercise reasonable care, skill, diligence when making corporate decisions. In 2025, uh, wait, I forgot, sorry. In 2025, Bursa Malaysia actually publicly reprimanded Ixan Holding, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was Ixan Holding. Bursa Malaysia reprimanded them and several directors for disclosure for breaching and failure of involving shareholder approval requirement. This issue actually demonstrates how directors can face regulatory and personal consequences if they don't comply with the corporate governance standards. Next, we shall talk about minority shareholder protection. Remember when I was talking about the shares, I was talking about how some of the minority shareholders might face some unfair treatment. They might not be, included in majority of the company decision. So, one of the viewers actually asked regarding the same thing. They asked me to actually elaborate about what happens or about my opinions regarding minority shareholder protection. And I would say legal remedies under certain section, if I'm not mistaken, it's under section 246. No, sorry. I think section 346, sorry, my bad. Under section 346, there's a legal remedy, which is important, especially for majority shareholders, so that they don't abuse their power to control and act unfairly toward minority shareholders. Good corporate governance requires transparency. Everyone needs to be transparent and hold accountable and be fair in terms of treating all the shareholders, regardless whether they're majority or minority. No, it has to be fair and square. This law, this section actually protects shareholders and other entitled people from unfair and oppressive conduct in a company. Um, I actually read about this case. Let's think. I forgot his name. It was a case against someone versus the Westbound Galleries Limited. I think it was the Ibrahimi. Yeah, the case was Ibrahimi versus Westbound Galleries Limited, that established that a company may wound up or just an equitable grounds where a company operates like a partnership and a minority shareholder was unfairly excluded from the management. This case is important because it protects minority and it shows what kind of rules the code drops and what kind of consequences this unfair treatment gets. This shows how the law protects minority shareholders from unfair execution and it prevents abuse of power from the majority shareholders and emphasizes fairness in a company. I think I talked too much. So, to conclude though, shares are not merely a financial statement. Shares determine the ownership, control, and corporate power. The issues that happened recently in recent times from I think around 2024, 2026, 2023, 2022. Okay, regarding buybacks, dividends, shareholder disputes that demonstrates the importance of balancing shareholders interest in particular with the creditor protection and as well as the accountability of the corporate. The Companies Act actually plays a very important crucial role that maintains the balance of this corporate structure by regulating share capital, protects minority shareholders, and imposing duties on director. I hope today's. I think that's all from me today. Uh, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and don't forget to comment any other suggestions for topics for next week. Also, remember Naren will be back next week, so you guys don't have to just look at my face. I know it's been boring. Like that, usually our podcast would be more enjoyable and fun, but since today's topic was a bit serious in a sense, and there was no one to talk with me, so it's been a bit lackluster. I hope we'll be back to normal starting next week. I can't wait to see you guys. I hope today's conversation actually gave you guys some good insights and meaningful perspectives regarding this topic. I hope you guys found it as insightful as I did while doing my research. It was fun. I enjoy when our viewers actually give us some, interesting topics to talk about, and I had fun doing some research, and I hope the comments under this video will also give us some, you know, interesting topics to talk about next week. Until then, bye.